We are looking for donations to help him with his legal case and legal support. I have a bag in my pouch here. If you're interested in donating anything, a buck, $100, whatever, to support this gentleman. He's a true patriot. He's a good guy and doesn't deserve what he's getting. I don't know any officers that have been in my life, and I have a family full of them that would have done this to him. So it's kind of a shame, because we all back the blue loud and proud, and it's kind of interesting what happened there. In any case, much love to all of you. Thank you, and I'm going to pass the mic to this gentleman here, and then we'll go to the young lady to my right from Beijing, China.
My name is Dave Christie. I'm with the movement of Lyndon LaRouche, and I would just like to enforce or emphasize that all of us should remain absolutely vigilant on the question of Trump pulling this off. We know that there was massive fraud. We know that this was probably the greatest crime against our nation in the history, history of any nation on this planet. And it may require some unique interventions. Many of you may have heard the senator from the State House in Pennsylvania, Maestrano, I believe his name is Maestrano, did put forward a resolution saying that the joint resolution that the House and Senate of Pennsylvania should actually be allowed to appoint the electors for Pennsylvania and potentially overturn the election there, or the results going to Biden, I should say, because the election results were probably, as we know, a landslide for Trump. So the point is, there may be many unique forms that this fight takes. It's going to be a battle no matter what, but we have to remain vigilant and fight for this, for Trump, because what's coming in with Biden, and it's not Biden, of course, it's not even, Biden will probably be tossed aside very quickly, but what is intended to be brought in is the Great Reset. And this is coming from the World Economic Forum. This is the Davos grouping, the Jackson Hole grouping. They're basically calling for a central bankers dictatorship, that the central banks around the world will unite, set up digitalized currencies, wipe out cash, wipe out really any sovereign control of nations over their credit, over their economic policy, their spending policies. This is what they've called for. They're out in the open for it. They will then bring in the green agenda, of collapsing the very means of energy production. Fossil fuels will be outlawed, carbon emissions, all this stuff that you've all heard about, will collapse the very carrying capacity on this planet, because that's what they want. They want to get rid of billions on this planet. And what is required is actually a concert of nations, many of which have their own problems on this front, as we have our problems with the so-called globalists, which, just to be clear on this crowd comes from London. This is the old British Empire. I don't mean the UK government. I don't mean Boris Johnson. I mean the City of London financial crowd, their branch office in Wall Street. And this is the old British Empire that has been out to crush us since day one after 1776. And this is what they intend with this Great Reset. What is required is a concert of nations. Mr. LaRouche years ago outlined that if you had Russia, China, India, and the United States come together, again, they have their own problems with this globalist crowd, but if you could bring the patriotic forces of those nations, that would be a sufficient enough power to crush this British imperial interests forever, the City of London globalists, and of course, their deep state apparatus in the United States. And so I just want you to keep that in mind, because this is a global fight. Key battleground is the United States. We have to win this fight for Trump. There's no going back with what Biden represents. It will be this dictatorship that they've had planned for a long time. They're just now openly out with it. So all of us, I'm happy to be here with you all, and I think we all just need to remain vigilant in the fight. If anyone wants any more information, we do have a table over there as far as some of the details that I covered briefly. So thank you very much.
Once they control your money, they control everything you do.
Stop the steal.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stop the steal.
Stop
And
the steal.
we have our next
Stop the
speaker.
steal. Stop the steal.
My name is Jane Xiaohongjin from Beijing, China. I was in Tiananmen Square in 1989. I was injured in Tiananmen Square. I escaped right after the Tiananmen massacre. When I come to America, I just couldn't believe this great nation give me great freedom. And it's so great, I was lost. In China, the CCP, Communist Party regime, control everything. I mean, really, literally, your job, your school, your community, everywhere. I was lost. When I landed to Seattle, I was living in Seattle. I said, who will give me a job? Where is the community, Communist Party or something? You know, I just couldn't turn around. Think about this is a free country. Everything is free. If you want to have a freedom, you must fight for it. If you don't know how, you have to find that way.
Amen.
Thank you.
Later, another Chinese from University of Washington told me, you need to go out. I said, go out to where? I don't know anybody. He said, you need to knock on the doors from east side of Broadway to the west, back and forth. You ask for application. That is the first experience I received in this great nation. I first time found out I am not alone. I have so much freedom. It is such a great sea full of freedom and full of free ideas in this country. This freedom is so important to me and to all the people who are coming over here from communist blocs. Either you are from Russia, I had old Russian friends, and they enjoy the great life of freedom here, and also some from Vietnam. And I myself and my colleagues, we are from mainland China. We experienced how brutal, how dictator the communist regime is. I remember that in Tiananmen Square, right before the Tiananmen massacre, we have a full of people, about millions there. But the CCP regime media said only a couple hundred people. And those are thugs try to turn around China.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
When recently I hear all the main media in the United States, one-sidedly, one voice, and don't let the other party to say anything, and even cut off our President Trump's voice and speech in the middle of the program. I feel so sad. Freedom of speech is a key matter of the great freedom. Thank you. I just couldn't understand this.
Thank you.
We must have freedom of speech, freedom of publication, freedom of media,
Yes.
freedom of assembly, and freedom and the right people to vote. This is right. We cannot be taken away.
We must fight.
Yes.
Fight.
Fight for
Fight.
freedom. Fight for freedom.
Fight for freedom. Fight for freedom. Fight for freedom. Fight for freedom! Fight for freedom!
Thank you.
Fight for freedom.
Thank you so much.